Welcome back to the Musical Connections podcast. This is the show where we connect the music of Newfoundland and Labrador with the rest of the world. Well, we are going to connect you now with two gentlemen who make up the duo Wite Rino. They call themselves the Spooky Party Jam Band, and they just released their most recent album, Dream Tower, back on May the 2nd on the Milltown Records label. And joining me right now from Corner Brook are the guys that make up Wite Rino, Joe Fowler and Aaron Rex. Guys, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Zach? Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Good.
And I'm glad we were able to finally get this sorted out. I mean, funnily enough, I had an interview. I don't know what it was for, but we were supposed to do this interview last month, but time and just the ECMA prep just got in the way, so that never happened. But I'm glad we're finally getting to do this right now, post ECMA. So, guys, thanks for your patience.
No worries. It was a busy time for us. We did our album release party like last week or the week before, was it?
Yeah, probably like 2 weeks ago.
Two weeks ago now. So we were crazy busy. You were crazy busy, but we're finally here together, Zach, to do this wonderful interview. So thanks for having us.
And thanks so much again for coming on. I believe this is episode 125 of Musical Connections that we're doing, of the main episodes. And we're giving the West Coast some love. And you guys are considered by many, or at least by yourselves, to be electronic music duo pioneers. But for West Coast duos, you're leading the pack here. So I know who you are, and believe it or not, one of your songs is actually the intro song to this very podcast. So got to thank you guys for that as well. How did this? Who are Wite Rino? Just tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Do you want to handle that one?
Yeah. Well, you have myself, Aaron Rex, and Joe Fowler here, and we've been playing music together for, I don't know, probably 20 years or so now, I guess.
Jeez.
It feels like.
Yeah, started off in just, like your sort of high school rock bands, fun fact for everyone, we used to be in a band called the Flash Cats.
Wow.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So, but yeah, then with this stuff I remember I actually went over to Joe's house one time just to hang out, and he showed me this Novation Launchpad and this program Ableton, and I had no idea about any of it. I was just getting into like electronic music myself, and
we have it right here.
Yeah, that's the one. That's what started it.
We picked this up when we were I don't know, maybe in high school or shortly after.
That's awesome.
And, just like very rudimentary, press button, make noise kind of electronic music, and this is kind of where I guess most of it started.
Yeah, like Joe got into it before me. Like I said, like he was the one who showed me, so it was very exciting. I think as soon as he showed me, it was just like, let's start like a band and start making like electronica now, instead of we've done the rock thing before. Sort of veered off into this side of things.
That's awesome. I did not know you guys still had that, launch pad from when you guys first started this, like 10 or 11 years ago.
It's so dusty, I haven't even thought about it. And then I just looked, I saw a glimpse of it in the reflection there, and I was like, wow, look at this old relic of the past. So yeah.
I actually still, they weigh nothing. They're so easy to carry around. I'll still bring it along, like if I'm like going out to like a cabin or something and I want to just like work on something, that'll be like the only thing I take, just for getting ideas out and stuff.
That's awesome. Now, the name of this group, Wite Rino, is spelled Witerino. I guess the Wite Rino, the way it's normally spelled, was taken.
Yeah, that's more or less that. I wish there was a more interesting story, but there's a pretty prolific heavy metal band, I think, with that name. I think we named our band probably before them for legal reasons. That's what I'll stand by anyways. But because they play fairly large shows and are very Googleable, we did our thing. And we also kind of came about making this band during the time when it was like Mastercraft spelt with no vowels, and changing spelling was a pretty cool thing to do, and I think still is. So Yeah,
I agree.
we for a while we took one of the H's out and then we just said no H's.
Yeah.
And it's a bit horribly confusing. It makes us a very difficult band to Google at times or to talk to Siri about. But I think it's worth it because it looks fun and it looks good and I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really makes you guys stand out here. Of course, you're taking on electronica, ambient sounding, very cool, and I definitely see this in video games, like probably like action video games, or maybe like is it too much to say it's very reminiscent of the Tron kind of sounding games or movies?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, well, it was cool. Like, did you hear that Daft Punk soundtrack that they did for Tron probably 10 years ago, I guess, maybe?
Heard of it.
Yeah, it has some great stuff on it. You should really check it out.
It's pretty spectacular. Yeah. Daft Punk's a huge influence for us. When I started electronic music, I think it was after the 2007 Alive tour, I went and saw them live in Toronto, and then that kind of was wow, this is exactly what I want to do.
Wow.
To be. So that was huge and very influential for both of us was that Alive album. And it was great. Still listen to it.
So are you going to be guys, putting on those robot masks and, singing through vocoders next?
If it was up to me, we probably would have masks on and do something weird like that. But I don't know. I think that it would come across a bit insincere as a reference, I think.
In the past, actually, probably 2013, 2014 era of Wite Rino, we used to actually have a few songs that never made it to any albums, but we'd have the vocoder going with these silly lyrics that made no sense.
We're not afraid of the vocoder, but it's it's not something we use very much on the live show. It's more of a let's make each other laugh kind of thing.
But I mean, if you did go for it, you'd be a good Daft Punk tribute act.
I mean, that would be a lot of fun sometime. Maybe that would be our next project. Maybe
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, I'm going to go to you for this next one because, as Aaron said, you were really one of the first ones to take on, the electronic music side of things when it came to this duo. How did this all start? This whole Wite Rino stuff for you?
Yeah, I think it was just listening to a lot of different music and we were kind of inspired by shows we were seeing, and it's tough to answer because it's so many things happening, but I think
bunch of factors.
We were doing a lot of things. I was doing stuff with microcontrollers at the time too. I was interested in Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, and I was just very interested in digital things and synthesizers and stuff. So maybe it was kind of instrument led, in a lot of ways. It was let's find some new instruments, and wow, this is what these instruments do. And then that kind of curiosity kind of just ended up where it ended up,
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. How about yourself, Aaron? How did you get pulled into this?
Pretty much for me, like I said, me and Joe always had, we played music together for a long time, but it wasn't until I remember I just went over to his apartment one time and like I said, he had this launch pad and this program Ableton, and as soon as I saw it, it was a game changer for music for me, the way I hear music and the way I was playing it. And I remember it was only a couple days after where I just brought over this Yamaha keyboard that I had at the time. I think it's right behind me up there actually. And we really didn't know what was actually gonna come out. It was just sort of there wasn't a specific plan to sort of, this is what we're going to make, this, whatever it is that we make. But it ended up coming out immediately, in the first jam. I think we had our first song done, and it was just really cool. And we kept going with that and just trying to always do something a little different with it.
That's wonderful. Now, of course, you mentioned earlier is Daft Punk was one of your influences from, crafting the sound of what do you make of this current sound of Wite Rino. Any other musicians or influences that come to mind that help you craft the sound that you guys have put together?
Yeah, I think we have different like individual tastes in music, but we have a lot of crossover too. I'd say you could add like Justice to that.
a big one.
They were on that big wave of like Ed Banger Records, big French music, electronica that was kind of taking over the world at the time. I like a lot of like Detroit house music and like a lot of like real unts kind of stuff. And I won't speak for Aaron. Aaron, what's more kind of your style or your kind of main focus for music?
For me, it wasn't until a bit later, like a few years after really diving into writing this music, that I got into the house stuff. But like at the time, like I always liked this band, Holy. Can I say that? Like
yeah.
on the pad, like Holy Fuck. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that on this podcast or not.
It's okay. I'll put an explicit tag.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Cover his mouth too.
Well, anyways, if you haven't heard of them, they're like this great band, and like they sort of had ties with like Winter Sleep and those bands from like Nova Scotia and stuff at the time. But it was all like instrumental electronica, and they're still putting out albums today, and really, really cool group. Should check them out.
And
that was fine.
Listener discretion is advised.
Oh dear.
But
it's true, and they really like bands like that. Like really bridge a lot of the things that we try and do. Like, okay, so now we have electronic music. Let's bring guitars back in. Let's do other things. So like bands like that are so exciting because they just like bring all those things you love about music together, all those instruments, all those ideas, and they kind of define labels in a weird way. So it's I agree. It's a great influence for music.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. So you call yourselves when you put out your very first album in 2014, I think it was. You call yourselves a spooky party jam band. When it comes to, crafting this, do you go from really, the haunting kind of sounds of electronic dance music to, help craft this persona I would say you guys are going to put on here?
Yeah, I think Aaron's kind of like the minor key guy. Like, I think when we're writing, like Aaron loves the kind of sadder, more intricate and thoughtful stuff. And I tend to write in more major keys and stuff. But I think the word spooky, I think pretty accurately describes some of it. But especially those first few albums, they're like pretty aggressive and pretty pretty on the go.
Yeah, the first album especially was very like unhinged. It's just like I wasn't really ever going in any specific direction, which I really like now, looking back on it, But yeah, the spooky part, like just these like, I love like, one of my favorite things to do is like Joe is great at these like catchy hooks and these like sort of choruses. And I love putting this like sort of dissonance behind it. And the way it contradicts each other always really makes for very pleasant sounds to me. But yeah, you could describe it as spooky.
Yeah, you know what they say, opposites attract.
yeah. I think our music's like really like pretty evenly shared with the writing. So I think when you listen, you can really hear where Aaron is and where I am a lot of the time. Anytime you hear that dissonance, like between, oh, what's this? Like two very conflicting ideas. Yeah, it's like it's all there in our music. So.
Now, you just recently put out your most recent one called Dream Tower back on May 2nd, of course. It's with Milltown Records, a subsidiary of Laughing Heart Music, ran by Nigel Jenkins, Jeff Shepard, and Debbie Brown and Company over on the West Coast in Corner Brook. I want to talk about how you guys got signed by Milltown Records. How did that all come together?
I believe, Scott Shepard was organizing these Washbrain experimental music festivals, like especially the first one. And he's seen us play around Corner Brook a couple times before. And we ended up playing some of these, and him just after seeing us, I believe just wanted us to be on the label when they started. Like Joe just called me at work one day. He was like, "Hey, you want to be on a record label?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I do." So yeah, Scott originally approached us on it when it was starting up, and I believe, little brag here, but I think we were the first band to actually sign on to that label.
Pretty big deal.
Take that, bus people. Take that, archives.
I wasn't going to call him in directly, but yeah.
But there's a great roster over on the Milltown Records label. Yourselves, Archives, great folk rock sound, electronic dance sound of Bus People, and then the country sound of Mutter Country. You guys got a great thing going on the West Coast there too. And Aaron, you said it before when it came to the very first album you put out in 2014 versus the one you put out just about a couple of weeks ago. The first couple of albums you put out as Wite Rino were more aggressive. How would you describe this record, Dream Tower?
Definitely, I would say it definitely has more direction. It certainly gets aggressive at points, and it has its softer sides too, but like we still do love getting that like heavy distorted bass in there. Like most people hearing it would still definitely describe it as a bit aggressive, but yeah, like the first album was like, that was just like me and Joe vomiting ideas pretty much. If that's a good way to describe it. Definitely. Like it was like, let's just take all these ideas and we're going to put them together, because we originally, I think, planned on writing sort of more of like a DJ style set, where we never planned any endings or beginnings between songs, and it sort of created like neat sounding tracks. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more direction and intention behind what we write now, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. Now, of course, you guys, along with the people I've mentioned, Bus People and Archives, and there's a couple of other acts out there. Like, I just had a train of thought and it's gone. But of course, just mentioning those acts before. The West Coast is really heating up right now, and especially with the work that Nigel Jenkins and the rest of the Laughing Heart music team are doing over there. How would you describe the West Coast scene of Newfoundland and Labrador when it comes to the music? And what are people, say, not seeing from what you guys are seeing? So say, for example, like I'm from St. John's, and I'm not really on the West Coast much. So for someone like myself that's a St. John's-based podcaster and media personality, like what can I take away from the West Coast music scene that I wouldn't? Anyways, I'm rambling here. How would you describe our scene in the West Coast?
Yeah, it's incredibly eclectic out here, and I think we definitely are like punching above our weight in terms of just the sheer volume of interesting music coming out around here. This is, a side of the province that has like the theater program, the visual arts program. We don't have the music program, but there's a ton of musicians out here. There's a ton of artists out here. We have great things happening with our own festivals every year, and we have our own visual arts festivals and things. So there's a great artistic community out here that is full of bands that I would describe as white hot and exciting, including Wite Rino. No, but it really is exciting, and I think anytime people come to the West Coast, one thing they should definitely do is check to see what live bands are playing, because there's always bands playing pretty much every weekend here, and you're gonna love it. Come check it out.
Anything to add, Aaron?
Pretty much, yeah, I would agree with everything Joe said. I know growing up, like there was always different groups and stuff that have continued on. Like even growing up, there's this band like Corona. If any listeners out there remember them, they were like this 3-piece instrumental super cool music. I won't go into detail. I don't even know if you can find the music anywhere. But even now, like there's always different acts going on, and even now lately, there's a lot of metal going on again.
Yeah, we have great bands. You should check out Paranoia.
Yeah.
I highly recommend them. They're absolutely incredible musicians, and just very exciting group of young guys out here that are really making some of the best music on the island.
Oh, for sure. I featured him on Newfound Releases on my podcast about a couple of months ago, I believe that was. I also mentioned the Proper Things as well. Jason Benoit is also another artist that I forgot to mention. And here come the acts spewing right out of my mouth right now. But like when you're doing 125 episodes of these, it's hard to keep track of them all.
Totally. Yeah, no. Well, I'm glad you're doing it. So it's nice because, there's so much great music out on this side of the island.
Oh, for sure. Now, do you have any plans to come here to St. John's, per se, and possibly do a show here?
Yeah, we're supposed to do a show. I can't really give any details on it yet because I haven't confirmed everything up, but I would say look out for us in St. John's sometime in July or August, which is so vague. But we will be there this summer, and we will be playing a show, and we will be selling our merch and doing our things and having a big fun party.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Now, any other future plans in store, say for the next, into June and July and August? Any more plans for touring? Plan on making new music again, even though you just released an album a couple of weeks ago? What are your future plans?
For me, just writing music. Even since we've finished this album, like me and Joe have already gotten together a few times for jams and stuff, and just worked on new music because that's, I don't know, what I like doing in my spare time. It'll always be writing music. Now, what kind of music that is? See what happens, but that's just always trying to work on some type of music and develop the skills further.
Yeah, we're also always working on our musicianship, which probably is really boring to a lot of your listeners, but I just came in today and on Aaron's computer was a bunch of exercises for guitar players and stuff. And I know it's again, very dry, boring stuff, but there's always, that's exciting. I like that kind of thing. I love just getting better at my instrument and just learning new songs. And it's a great, you never stop learning. You never rest on your laurels as a musician.
No, absolutely not. And it's like those small things that can really help you become a better musician in the long run, even though you've been at this for about 10 years. You're always learning every single day, and never settle for less, really.
Yeah, now I can say too, though, I think there may be a Halloween release of various artists and things, which we'll be a part of. But
ooh, that's a good teaser.
Yeah,
we'll just say look out for Halloween-themed music on the west coast of the island.
Yeah. Should be fun.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to that when it does come out. Now we're going to get to Nigel, you'll probably kill me right now. or these guys. Now, we're going to get to one of those songs from Dream Tower shortly. Now, for those who want to find out more about Wite Rino and what you guys are going to be doing next when it comes to music and tour dates and stuff, where can they find you when it comes to, say, a website and socials?
I think Instagram is what we use the most. We do have a Facebook. We have an email address.
We use his emails.
I know, right? I know. Zach, we barely answered your emails, so you probably know that better than anybody. But we managed to get this scheduled and worked out, so we appreciate your patience with our bad email usage.
Likewise.
But I would say, hit us up on Instagram. If you want to buy a vinyl or anything or a T-shirt, and check it out. We got these pressed on vinyl. They sound great. They're totally professionally mixed and mastered. And I would highly recommend the vinyl listen, and I'm not just being a snob. I genuinely believe our vinyl sounds like the best way you would want to listen to this album. So shoot us a message and we can send you one in the mail, or we can, just chat, or just tell us if you liked it or hated it. That's kind of fun too.
And what's the handle for the Wite Rino? So it'll just be WITERINO?
That's right. Yep. WITERINO.
Alrighty. Well, and for the record, you are not a snob when it comes to saying like vinyl records. I've been talking with people in the industry for about 100 plus episodes of this, and one of the best things I can say about vinyl records, that Fred's, most of their sales are vinyl records. I can confirm this with Conor O'Brien, the Irish descendants, who I've had on 3 times. I think 4 times actually, maybe, but I'm not sure. But vinyl is coming back in a big way, and it outsold CDs for the first time in like 35 years. So it's great to see you guys doing vinyl. It's great to see the entire island really going towards the vinyl route. And it's great to finally have you guys on the podcast after so long. So Joe Fowler and Aaron Rex of Wite Rino, thanks so much for doing this.
Hey, thanks, Zach.
Thank you.